Hi guys, and welcome to part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, make sure you go and watch that one either before or after this video. In this one I'll talk more about the gigs and festival moments I've enjoyed, some people from music that I think are inspiring, and a bit more. So I hope you enjoy it. So let's talk about gigs, shall we? Now, my most unusual gig of the year has to go to my Jums and Young Guns, and they did one on a bus. Logistically for them, a bit of a nightmare, I've got to be honest, and it was just driving around London, so you got to see the sights of like Westminster and Parliament and Big Ben and stuff while you were listening to Young Guns. John's very tall, so he was at the back like leaning like this while he was playing his guitar. It got incredibly sweaty, and they didn't just have to do one performance, they had to do a few performances because they had to do one for press, they had to do one for competition winners, and then ones for fans and stuff, so it was like an absolute sweatbox in there, but the sound was actually surprisingly good, and it was really fun to do something a bit different. Oh, we got drink and snacks too, which is always an added bonus. Best overall gig is a tricky one. I haven't been going to gigs that much this year purely for health reasons. I can't actually stand at gigs, so it's a bit tricky. For nostalgic purposes, Incubus at Hammersmith was great. They didn't play all of my favourites, but with a band that's been together that long, you're never probably going to get all the songs you want, but still they played enough for us to leave feeling, oh, that was great, and made us feel young again, and they still got it. Bring Me the Horizon at House of Vans, obviously that was to do with the launch of their new album, which is a new era for the band, so there was a definite air of excitement around it because it feels like a really important new phase for the band, and they've kind of broken through to that next level of success, getting a really impressive chart result, and things are just going up and up for them. So yeah, it felt like a really important night, and I was very happy that I got to be there. It's not officially a gig, but being able to go to the Alice Cooper and Motley Crue press conference talking about their last gigs together, that felt a special thing to be at, and I felt very honoured that I was allowed to attend. Only a few days ago Motley Crue had their last ever gig. It really is the end of an era. In terms of the most fun gig though, it has to be McBusted. My friend Kelly had a spare ticket, so she invited me along, and in terms of just good fun, great production on stage, and just really uplifting sing-along songs, you can't really go wrong, can you? Most emotional live song experience has to go to Lonely the Brave at Reading Festival. They played The Blue and the Green, which was already one of my favourite songs, or most listened to songs of the past 12 months or so. But I interviewed the band, not the singer, but the rest of the band, and they told me how important and personal the lyrics to the songs were to the singer, and particularly that song, and it's so evident when you see him perform it. He's very shy, and when he's on stage he doesn't face the front, and he's not at the front of the stage. More often than not he'll be at the back, facing away from the audience, and just kind of living in the lyrics and in the moment and in the song. You can tell that he feels it every time. It's very raw, very real, and quite emotional to see, and I just find that song emotional anyway. And if you haven't seen the video, it's one of my favourite videos. It's very moving. Audience Participation Award stroke moment has to go to Panic at the Disco doing Bohemian Rhapsody at Reading Festival. It was such a joyous moment, just beautiful. Everyone singing, everyone having a good time, and you know, it's quite risky taking on that song. It's, you know, no one can do it quite as well as Freddie, but Brendan Urie did a fantastic job, sounded awesome, and we all had the best time. Surprising highlight of a festival award has to go to Lionel Richie at Glastonbury. I don't know if you saw the coverage of Glastonbury on BBC, but he actually drew in the biggest crowd, and if you watch the performance you'll see why. In terms of feel good, you can't beat it, and so many classic songs, and you can't help but have a little boogie, and Lionel Richie, you are a don. Safe hands at a festival has to go to Slipknot. At Download Festival, I've seen them a few times already, but you just know you're going to get an unbelievable show. Obviously the songs are great and they're great performers, but it's also the whole spectacle of it, you know, with the flames, with the rotating drums, the costumes. It's just awesome, and I can't imagine anyone having a bad time watching them. It'll be very hard. But I also think actually Muse surprised a lot of doubters at Download, because I think a lot of people thought, what are Muse doing on the lineup? Because it's more of a heavy lineup generally. but they kind of toughened up their songs a bit. They all sounded a bit heavier, a bit thicker, a bit more, and they were flawless. And obviously, whatever you think of Muse, you can't doubt their musical prowess. Like, they know how to play their instruments. Most improved band or artist, and I've given this to two people. Justin Bieber is the first one. It's been impossible to ignore the buzz and hype around his latest album Purpose on Twitter, because it's managed to kind of convert a lot of doubters and people that actually used to hate the Bieber before, and now they're true believers. They're obsessed. Even people from the rock world are saying, you can't deny this is a great pop album. So Justin has done wonders of, you know, changing perception and proving that actually he is a talented musician. It sounds very current, but it's bringing inspiration from past kind of musical trends. It's a nice chilled vibe to it, actually. I really didn't want to be swayed in favour of the Bieber, but I can see everyone's point, so, you know, fair dues, Bieber. My other award goes to Mumford & Sons. Now, I know they're a hugely successful band with a huge loyal fan base, but their material before, it wasn't my thing. I found it slightly annoying because I'm not that into folky kind of elements. They decided with the latest album, they decided to kind of reduce the folky elements a bit, you know, taking out the fiddles and things like that. And it has a definite more rocky or traditional rock tinge to it, and I actually think it's worked in their favour. I definitely find them much more palatable and even enjoyable. I thought their track Believe was actually a really nice song. This is a big one, best album. Now, in terms of the album I listen to the most, it's a very obvious choice, and I'm sorry about that, but it is That's the Spirit from Bring Me the Horizon, and for me it is one of those albums I can listen to from top to bottom. I know a lot of people hate when bands change their sound, but for me, I always think it's a positive thing, because it means it's listening to their creative juices, they're doing what's genuine and authentic to them, and I think you can see when something's authentic. I would hate a band to do an album full of songs they don't enjoy playing to and don't enjoy listening to purely to keep fans happy. That seems very wrong to me. So I think well done for being brave, taking a risk. Other albums, The Mind Sweet by Enter Shikari, which came out I think in January, so this was at the top of the year, and it's still in my car, well, not my car, Simon's car, and we've listened to it throughout the year. Also a surprise one that we enjoyed was The Wombat, so I would never have thought it would be my sort of thing, but there's a lot of great songs on there. I'd say it's kind of like indie pop, I guess would be the description of it, but some really nice ideas in there. Not all of the songs work as well, but there's definitely some great singles in there, so that's a surprise, enjoyable one. Faith No More came out with Sol Invictus, which obviously Faith No More, legends, and there's still no band like them, and I really admire that they still stand kind of on their own, this unique thing. And also No Devotion should have a massive shout out, because their album was stunning, and I know they've been in the music industry for a while, but this is a debut album for this new entity, and it was incredible, and I expect things to just go like this for them, and boy do they deserve it. The "Oh, haven't they done well" award has to go to Don Broco. Now, I've said this so many times, it's like a broken record, but I've known Don Broco for a few years now, because I invited them down to the Cheer Up Clothing office to do an acoustic performance for us when I worked there many moons ago. They did a cover and their own song, and even then we thought, these guys have got something, like there's something there, and we believed that they would be big. That's why we invited them in, because we knew they had this huge potential. The songs are there, got great personalities, and they've proved us absolutely right. And this year, they've had a stonking year. Obviously that culminated with a show at Brixton Academy, which I was lucky enough to go to, and they smashed it. You can't leave a Don Broco gig without a smile on your face, and I don't really have a right to be proud of them, because you know we're not close buddies or anything, but I see them all the time at festivals and things like that, and they are lovely people, and it's just so nice when nice people do well. And P.S. guys, I'm so sorry I've had to interview you so many times. Every time I know I've got to interview you, I feel like, oh, shame, because I think you're probably thinking, God, not her again, leave us alone. But I'm sorry, but well done. Woo! I don't really agree with separating females and males with categories, because it would be nice if they're considered as just musicians moving forward. I really like that to be a thing, so I don't know why I'm doing this. But I know that a lot of females that are into music, they are always looking for that female artist that can become their idol, or they can look up to, or who can inspire them. So I thought I would mention some just in case you are looking for that person that will either inspire you in life or to pursue musical goals. Obviously this year we saw the return of Adele, which was a massive thing. Taylor Swift had a cracking year, but also like the Arianas, Selena, Demi, they've all been releasing tracks this year. Then we've had the more indie, tomboyish souls like Courtney Barnett, who have done really well. And then Joy Williams, who's formerly of Civil Wars, who I interviewed earlier in the year. I think she's so admirable because she's gone out on her own now, but she was so dignified in the way she dealt with kind of press duties relating to what happened with the duo, and she actually did it in musical form. So if you listen to the album, you'll actually find out a lot of answers about what happened there. Some beautiful tracks on there, and lovely lady. Obviously Halsey, I'm not quite sure how you say it, she's been bubbling a lot this year, and I predict she's going to continue to kind of rise throughout 2016. In the alternative world, we've seen some great women at all the festivals and things. Obviously the Lounge Kittens doing their thing, which brings fun to any festival setting. You've got Anna Vey, who've been playing some small gigs around the country over the last year, and I'm sure they're going to do great things next year. Against the Current, New Year's Day, there's so many people, but my winner for Female Idol of the Year has to be Lynn Gunn of Paris. You can see from her social media numbers, she's already kind of sucked in that huge audience of people that look up to her. She's a really sweet person too. When you interview them, you realise that they're just these young people doing what they love, and they're learning things as they go, and every time I see them they're slightly more confident, because when I first saw them they were quite shy, but they're really nice people, and it's so cool to see them doing so well. And obviously they're doing their own thing and it's working for them. My award for the band that's doing more than just music, that's a really bad title for award, sorry, but Enter Shikari, I just wanted to give you a shout out, because there's so many things I like about Enter Shikari, Shikari. Not only are they willing to tackle important issues, political, environmental, just life issues, they do it articulately, intelligently, and they're consistent. It's not just something they do in their songs, it's when they perform, it's when they're tweeting. Even when it came to Black Friday, when they didn't try and just abuse Black Friday and try and get people to buy loads of their stuff. I love the fact that they're so British. Whatever happens to them in terms of the music element of the songs they make, because of Raoul's voice, it will always sound very British. And I love that, because so many British bands think they have to have that American tinge to their accent, but you don't. You know, when they go on tour, they're going to bring out great people on tour with them. Just look back at the people they've had on tour and you'll be like, wow, that would have been a great gig. That would have been a great gig. So they obviously take a lot of care with picking those artists too. I don't want to give them big heads or anything, but they're great, and if you don't listen to them yet, you definitely should be, and you should learn a lot from them as well. Raoul did an amazing lecture too, which you should all check out. My favourite soundtrack of the year was a bit tricky, because I've tended to listen to old soundtracks that I've been loving for years, but one that I remember standing out when I was in the cinema was Me, Oh and the Dying Girl. So many good songs came on. A lot of them are by Brian Eno. There's Lou Reed on there, Explosions in the Sky, Cat Stevens, Roy Orbison, who has the most heartbreaking voice you ever heard. Yeah, so there's some great songs in that, and if you watch my film video, you know that I want you to see the film as well. So there's just some of my musical picks of the year. I'm sure I've forgotten something. Actually I have. I was going to do a shout out to While She Sleeps as well. I really love Your DIY Ethic. I loved Brainwashed and the Black and Red Elements, because it just kind of has so many connotations to do with power and politics and war and just passion and stuff, and I think that really translated. And like I said, I love Your DIY Ethic and the fact you make your merch and everything and the artwork, so that's great. Anyway, I'm actually going now. I really hope you enjoyed this musical video. If you'd like me to do more musical videos, you can see I'm passionate about it, so we'll happily do that, and I'll see you in the next one.